All right? So now nobody don't exist. At the bottom you have Heraclius and Croesus, the Sassanid ruler. They were fighting each other prior to Islam. So all this history is real. It's documented. You can get the information. Next slide.
The arrogance of ignorance. All this history is real. It's documented. You can get the information. Oh, I thought that was a lecture. God dang. Anyway, let's hear another strange claim.
In ancient history, what you will find is Allah is mentioned in ancient Sumer. When he came to Babylon, Allah in Sumer, when he came to Mesopotamia, they called him Sin. When he came to Babylonia, they called him Nergal. So the names were switching. They said Ara or Allah.
Allah / Nana, Sin, Nergal, Ura. You know what that sounds like to me?
The moon and the crescent, which was a sign of the moon deity Sin or Nana.
It's turning into a confusion show. Earlier, just go back a few seconds previously, it said Allah / Nana on the screen. Now it says Nana, aka Chuti.
If there was a civilization in the Pacific, which we have a lot of information on, that existed, it explains why the deities in Kemet who said that they gave all of the writing and the sciences and other things said they came from the West. You explain it. Why would Jehuti say or be talked about in the Pert Imheru as the Lord of the West? The only thing west of Africa is the Atlantic Ocean, the Americas, and you can keep going around.
The Complete Idiot's Guide to Ancient Egypt. Page 28, up is down. Because the Nile River flows from south to north, we refer to the Nile Valley as Upper Egypt, upstream, and the Delta as Lower Egypt, downstream. Nile notes, don't forget, Upper Egypt refers to the Nile Valley in the south, and Lower Egypt refers to the Delta in the north. So this is our ancestors' point of view right there. Well, at least those who lived in Kemet. See, nobody owns a copyright about Kemet, but the least is to know what you're talking about. Otherwise, it's not a good look. What we know as west today would be east back then. So the Atlantic Ocean wouldn't be towards the west, but towards the east. Anyway.
But we got to go here first to correct the error. Now, this is Dr. Bendy's own words. The reason why I'm bringing this up, because if you enunciate language that defeats your history, you will stay a slave. If you name yourself after your enemy, that is one of the worst mistakes that you could ever make. How can you be colonized and then take the colonizer's name?
Here's a taste of your own medicine. That's exactly what your Arabized blacks are doing. You call yourself Muslims, you're trying to bring up their culture as if it was ours, and so on.
Al-Kibalan, ancient name of Africa by the Moors and Ethiopians. Okay, now let's do a little puzzle search. If the indigenous people of Africa called it Al-Kibalan, and the Moors and Ethiopians calls it Al-Kibalan, the name it Al-Kibalan, are the Moors and the Ethiopians indigenous peoples of Africa? Sure.
Whoa, that's for all the Moors talking that Mu thing, all those fictional Atlantism, all this crap. And it's funny how you're gonna look so confused in a few seconds.
Now, let's take one name. Ethiopia is Greek. We know that the term is Cush. So the Moors and the Cushites named it Al-Kibalan. Then we can say the Moors and the Cushites are the indigenous peoples of Africa. Never said that though. Directly. You wouldn't say it. I guess he left it for us.
Oh, my friend. You see how you look, man? Did you prepare your lecture?
The word Moor was written in hieroglyphic. Now, this is not a stele from Egypt. This is just a depiction. I'm going to show you the actual writing. I want you to see what it looks like. Moray.
We know that the Moors usually try to claim every word that starts with a M, but this Meduneter right there stands for Mary, which means beloved, just like User Ma'at Rasete Pedrara Mesu Meriamun, the full name of Ramses II. Meriamun means beloved of Amun, okay? That's a nice try, you know. Not a lot of people know about this, but he ain't gonna slide with me.
Close up. More than.
Nobody can deny the fraud. That's the picture, right? And earlier, if you remember, if you don't just go back, you had several symbols. That you only have one, and it says the same thing, more. So by itself, it means that, and with the other symbols, it means that. You know, that's picking and choosing. That's just freestyling. That's all.
Now this is in America. Glyphs found in where? New York.
Once again, you will witness how he will betray his own self. He's gonna make the usual claim that something means more because it starts with an M, but that don't matter much to me. It's what he's gonna say next, talking about Kemet, and he's gonna kind of realize it and move on to the next slide because it doesn't make sense. You're trying to say it's America, but then you're saying the root of the name. That's funny.
Tamir is Ta, nation, Mir, Moors. Tamare is the name that we call ancient Egypt, the upper part or lower part, which is up. All right? So this is 3,000 years ago in Long Island, New York. These glyphs are dated to. What is it doing in New York? Next slide.
Priceless. You asked the question, you don't know? Oh man, you're so confused. But that's what happened. You can't just grab anything and everything, man. Anyway, Ali, I want to thank you because at least I had a good laugh.
The 7 white men, these are the 7 white men who created what we call the repatriation movement that started in the African diaspora. Now what am I saying? I'm saying prior to this time period, there was no mass desire for black people to go back to Africa. Amongst the free so-called Negroes, free persons of color.
I guess the house Negroes didn't want to go. They were well treated, those traders. Let's see when that thing happened, according to you.
In the 1800s.
Pay attention, it will get more specific.
They met on December 21st, 1816 to deal with the problem they was having. See, if you don't know history, you don't know what kind of problem they was having.
1316. Slavery was still popping. It makes sense now. You should all check out the favorites that I have on my page about the Moor slave trader traitors. Okay, I've had enough. That was part 7 out of 11. I will end with a nail in the coffin for all the Arabized Negroes. This is Wahid Din Muhammad saying how his own father, Elijah Muhammad, lied about Fard Muhammad.
And I told him that I could more readily believe that he was God than I could believe that his teacher was God, because his teacher was a white man and he said white people were devils. So I didn't change. And as I was leaving, my mother was hurt, and it hurt me to see her hurting like that. She said she walked me to the door, which she didn't do. That was normal for her. When my father would excuse you. And she stood on the porch at the door and she said, Wallace, why don't you go back there and accept this? Just say you believe. I said, Mama, tell me what Mr. Farad told you all. I said, did he tell you he was God? And she looked like her face went blank and looked like she didn't know what to say. And a few seconds she said, no, he did not. Said, in fact, he told us to not even call him prophet. Said that was too big a title for him. Then I said to my mother, how can you ask your son now to accept a man as God who told you prophet was too big a title for him?